Okay, so Col, we've got the latest set of frequently asked questions here to go through. For the most part, all the questions are coming from individuals who have endured COVID.
Right, okay.
Righto. Okay, so why is it so important to get back to exercise?
That's a huge question, isn't it? Because you could just say, why is it important to do exercise? Never mind to get back to it. So the exact same reasons why it's important to do exercise are the same reasons as why we need to get back to it. But in the context of the fact that these questions are coming from people who've had COVID-19, it's because if we don't actively start to influence those physiological structures and start to work on restoration and rehabilitation, then we're not going to fully recover. As simple as that. And all the statistics show in any kind of post-viral condition, you know, the outcome, the ultimate outcome, when we look at year 1, 2, and then year 10 down the road, is all about how it's actively managed in the wake of a kind of clear diagnosis. So, you know, you've dealt with the virus, you're post-virus. And then when we look at post-viral fatigue and the other issues that can be brought on, which people are having to deal with, which there's a range of situations, all of those will be improved by exercise, because at its core, what exercise does is increase the turnover, the physiological turnover, metabolic turnover of the body. It promotes and encourages the laying down of new muscle tissue, bone tissue, neurological tissue. It upregulates every process that the body engages with. So the minute you do your first session, so long as it's set at the right intensity, you're starting to get something back from exercise. And the more we do that, the more consistent we are, the more we get back from exercise. So what we want to do in post-COVID is get that right. We want to make sure that we're building up our exercise tolerance and capacity through structured physical activity, but we don't want to delay the point that we start to turn that into more structured exercise and start to put more of a graduated demand on the body so that we can get more of a return from that activity.
Presumably, we don't know yet, because I imagine it's too early to tell, how much the rate at which a person can recover is enhanced by exercise in terms of time.
Yeah, I mean, we do. Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? That's kind of question that comes up a lot in different instances, because we know it's not only the rate at which we see an improvement, it's the extent and the quality of the improvement. And that's what I try and encourage people to consider more. So let's say full recovery, whatever you do, is going to take 6 months. But full recovery at 6 months for someone who's engaged in a meaningfully structured pathway of rehabilitation could literally mean absolute full recovery and as fit, if not fitter than they've ever been in their life, versus someone who's just no longer dealing with the tail end of symptoms. So it's more about what we get. And if you look across the board, whether it's cancer, cardiovascular disease, whatever the chronic condition is, and certainly post-viral conditions, when we look at quality of life factors and activities of daily life, and people feeling, you know, resilient and robust and ready to re-engage and do all the things that they ever did before and want to do now, exercise and nutrition, exercise is one of the fundamental keys to achieving that.
Okay, next question. Possibly interlinked with the question just posed, but when is the right time to return to gym-based exercise when recovering from COVID-19? And then we had another question which I threw in because it was similar. Go with that one first, and then I'll ask the second one after, because they are a bit different.
As soon as possible, but don't rush. That's what I'd say. You know, what we're looking for is that someone has a level of physical tolerance, aerobic tolerance and capacity. I'm encouraging people to think of this 10-minute. So 10 minutes, say for instance, that, you know, you've started to structure, or someone has started to structure your physical activity, and you're now able to go out every single day and do 10 minutes at a brisk walking pace, increase breathing, increase heart rate, and you feel comfortable and in control and in command. We've got sufficient of a base, of an aerobic base there now to start to say, right then, well, let's start to bring in structured exercise now. And that structured exercise is going to be a combination of functional factors, movement to accuracy, some strength work, which is critical for everyone. Everyone should do strength work. It's not about becoming massive, it's about becoming really strong and resilient. And that impacts directly on your physical independence now and as you get older. And then it's going to be a combination of them putting a gradually but modestly increased demand on that aerobic capacity, that aerobic system, so that we can start to develop fitness all the more. And it'll probably be that there's a phase where the two go hand in hand, where you're continuing to increase those demands with regards to your physical activity, and you're building up and developing your capacity and tolerance for the exercise.
And I think it might be worth mentioning, given that these are questions posed by people who have COVID, when we say return to gym-based exercise, we don't automatically mean go back to what you were doing before. There's a significant recovery period that needs to happen, which is what you kind of just inferred there with the walking pace and the 10 minutes. Like, that has to come first as a reminder for people.
See this as an opportunity. Forget everything you did before. Start again. More often than not, we don't do this because we're not courageous enough, because we build up a level of skill and tolerance and expertise in the things we do. And a big part of our time is working hard to not lose that. Well, just assume it's gone and start looking forward only. The past should give you some insights as to where you're likely to get to, but look forward only and start from the bottom. And, that's really important. Leave your ego out of it. It's not about what you used to be. It's about where you want to be. And you can fully recover, be as fit as you ever were, and hopefully fitter if you just lay the foundation anew, build again. Remember, you're restoring tissue. So that can't be emphasized enough. We're restoring, we're repairing the body. And just the same way, to use a cliched in the fitness industry, to use a car analogy, if you had been, if you'd taken the engine out of your car and you'd removed all the fuel pipes and the brake pipes and you'd started to put this back together, you wouldn't wait till you'd done half the job before you decide to see how fast you could go. You'd want to make sure everything was back in place, particularly your brakes and your fuel line. You'd want everything there, so then you can start to supercharge again. And think exactly the same for your body. Restore it, rebuild it, recover it, repair it, and then start to build up. And I promise you, you will get wherever you want to go, you'll get there better. And really, it's an opportunity to learn more, diversify, bring in variance, and do more in the future.
Which that response is quite a nice segue into the next question, which is, I find normal daily tasks challenging. Should I still consider structured exercise in a gym environment?
So no, what I'd say in that instance, if normal daily tasks are still challenging, then it's still time for you to focus on increasing your physical activity and your aerobic tolerance. But within that, it can be more creative than just going for a walk and trying to walk faster. Try to physically engage at home, in your garden, in your local environment, with more than just your legs. Simple things like, trying to climb over a gate rather than open it and walking it through, a style, carrying things with you to start to just put a little bit more of a weight loaded burden across the system, but still just be increasing your physical activity, trying to walk a little bit further and yes, walk that bit faster until you get to the point where you think, I'm in control of this now. And even if you get breathless and even if it's tiring, you can do everything you want to do. So you're not facing tasks of daily life or your physical activity with the question of, can I do it? You can do it, even if it makes you tired. That's okay. It's okay to be tired. That's the point. Then we go, right, then let's start to do more. Even let's up the ante and do more structured exercise off the back of that. We don't need to wait till everything's perfect. If people who wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect day, spend the whole time waiting and not much time doing anything. We just need to be in control. And if we feel like we can do these things, they tire us, but we're in control and we can do it, it's time to raise the ante.
So the next questions have some similar undertones of what we just talked about, but I think it might be interesting tact to respond to these in a way that, let's assume these questions have been asked to a coach. How might a coach respond to some of these questions to give advice to a client, whether they've gone through our rebuild course or not at this point?
Okay.
Why do I find the level or types of exercises I used to do easily so challenging, or simply way beyond my ability now?
Because you've got to recognize that physiologically things have changed, and they haven't changed for the better. That you've lost a lot of your physiological capacity. So things like your body's localized energy stores are less than they were previously. Neurologically, so that nervous pathway has had some interference. So it's not recruiting muscle as smoothly and efficiently as it was previously. And then it's recognizing that at some level, your body has taken a bit of a hit. You know, there is changes to the tissue, and those changes are negative. So the alveoli within the lung, it's not just about whether or not you can optimize that with a deep breath and you can breathe really well. It's the fact that the cells themselves, the alveoli, have been damaged, and there could be potential damage to other parts of the system as well. Now, the good news is that's all recoverable, or mostly recoverable. Most of the point is we can get it functionally recoverable so that we can be fit and well and healthy and do things as we did prior to engaging with COVID-19. But right now, all of that needs to be physically re-educated, physiologically re-established, and then pathologically recovered. So we're going to spend our time focused on those things. So that's why you feel the way you do. It's completely legitimate to feel the way you do right now, because your body has undertaken a real stress. You know, we wouldn't have this conversation if you've been in a car crash. You would automatically assume the damage. You'd know what your body had been through. And I want you to consider that now. You've been through a virus-like car crash. Recognize that that takes its toll, and it's okay, because we're going to repair and fix everything, and then we'll move forward.
You said then, just in case that's something that anybody picks up on and has a question about, words to the effect of almost fully recoverable. So does that mean in some instances a person might not be 100% recoverable?
It does, yeah. That's if we were to look at it on an MRI scan and we were to do specific biochemical and physiological tests. But that's the same anyway. As we age, those changes come about. Those changes come about with changes to tendon, ligament structure, you know, the integrity of a joint, arthritic changes. We have age-related changes to our VO2 max. You know, our cellular turnover starts to gradually, and it's very gradual, starts to gradually slow down once we reach about 21, and we start to age, and that's how we age. So that happens anyway, and because of what we've dealt with here, because of the virus, is it will have affected tissue in a way that's going to mean that that tissue is affected for the long term. Like if you cut your arm, you get a scar. You can still use your arm, you can still do everything you want to do, but that scar's there telling you, you know what, we were damaged once. If you fracture a limb, if we look at it on a X-ray, well, then we can see where the site of the fracture was, but we're okay.
Yeah.
So think of it on those terms.
Good analogies.
Your body will know that it's endured what it's undertaken, but you can move on through that. And like I said, functionally and fitness-wise and health-wise, keep moving forward.
Awesome. Okay. Since having coronavirus, I can get bouts of severe fatigue. Can structured exercise help or make that worse?
I can do both. So structured exercise is the key to overcoming it, but incorrectly structured exercise that applies too much of an intensity or a duration or difficulty of tasks too soon will exacerbate that fatigue. And fatigue is not tiredness, although tiredness is an aspect of fatigue. So when we're working with someone who's dealing with fatigue, it's what we need to do is always go a little bit less than we think we can, and provide enough of a stress and a stimulus to facilitate changes, a little bit of a demand upon the system, but we're never out of control. Let's just build it up gradually. I've done a lot of work with regards to fatigue in the wake of cancer, various types of cancer. And you know, every type of cancer, every type of tumor group has its own specific issues around it, and the nature of the complexities around it. But fatigue is the commonality, and when we're looking to overcome fatigue, the thing to do is work with it, not against it, and go, okay, so we're just going to gradually, we're going to stimulate that system, cardiorespiratory, you know, muscularly, neurologically, but we're going to stay within those realms of control. We just want to be knocking on the door of tiredness. So just at that point where we're going, yeah, this is approaching the limit now. We've done enough, and then do more of it the next day, and more of it the next day, and slow and steady wins the race. It's like water on limestone. One little drop at a time, the water will change the stone. Just work your way through. Take your time. Be persistent. Be gradual, and win the race.
Okay. What types of exercise should I focus on to give me the best recovery?
First of all, I would encourage everyone who's dealt with any kind of virus, but particularly the COVID virus, is to work on their aerobic tolerance. Okay, let's get ourselves respirated. Let's start, because that's indirectly, well, kind of directly, really, that's going to start to increase the hemoglobin. So we're going to improve that part of the system. It's going to directly improve any kind of cardiac issues that we've dealt with, because we're going to be putting the heart through its gears. But we want to work aerobically. So we're never going to go top end. We're not trying to go maximal. A good equation for people to use, I mean, within the CAWS program, we recommend the white protocol for estimating someone's predicted heart rate max. But you know what? In this instance, it's okay to use the classic carvening, which is 220 minus the person's age. So let's say you were 40, that's 180. That will predict that your heart rate is 180 when it's maxed out. We don't want to go anywhere near that. I would encourage people to be building up their tolerance and reaching around about 55, 60% at best, most days, if not every day of the week, and building up to 10 minutes, then 15, 20. Build up that tolerance, okay? Because once we've got that and we can oxygenate the system, there's going to be direct positive impact on your immune system by targeting that part of the system. The person is then going to be able to cope with increasing challenges, increasing intensity of demand, and work towards those more functional and strength factors.
Okay, so I have never specifically exercised in a gym. Will it be too much for me, especially recovering from COVID-19? So, newcomer.
There's a really short answer to that, and that is no, it won't be. The gym is an environment that is purely created in order to permit increased exercise, variance, and opportunity. You know, it's the same as if you were to go and take your child to a playground, and how entertained or how long will your child be entertained is directly correlated to how many different items of equipment are available to your child. They might last 10 minutes on the swings, and if you've got a slide, you might get another 10 minutes, and then that's it. Variety is the key. But when it comes to exercise, because we move in so many different ways, because we can stress the system in so many different ways, and because particularly, which is the key pillar to physical wellness, is strength. You know, we want to have as much opportunity and variance as we possibly can. So the exercise, the gym environment is primed for that. One, it's a controlled environment, so you're not weather dependent. Two, it has access to equipment and skills that you won't have at home. And you know, and three, and this is a really important one, as someone who operates a gym, let me promise you how important this part is. It becomes your third space. So you have home, you have work, and then the gym becomes your third space. And it becomes a place where you're a very authentic, but a different version of you. And you can, you know, it's a part of a community. It establishes a mindset. I'm all about embodiment. And when you're actually a member and you're a part of that community, and the reason why you come together is because of shared goals and ambitions and outcomes, that is powerful. That is really powerful. So for anyone who's contemplating about starting a gym, is the gym right for them? 100% yes, the gym is right for you. It's not only a necessity, it's invaluable. It's an essential part of your community and how you should structure your life.
But in the context of this question, although obviously I agree with everything you just said, it's more about the physiological readiness. Is the gym too much because of where they're at in a physiological state sense? And reassuring someone who's not only thinking about the fact that the gym isn't familiar, but also they're not in a good spot. So this could be someone who likely said, or might likely say, like, I didn't go to the gym before. Why am I going to go to the gym now when I've had COVID and I feel like this? Like, how can you explain to that person, despite the fact that they may not feel a sense of physiological readiness, it's for their benefit to go?
So yeah, I mean, I totally understand that. Is if you've not previously been a gym goer and now you feel even more compromised and arguably at a weaker state than you've ever been, then those that kind of concerns about, well, is the gym for me? Am I going to be able to cope, and is it all going to be too much? I guess is a certain part of that questioning. But the fact is that from the minute you engage, it's literally, it's about you and your journey. There's no expectation of what you need to keep up with or keep track with on behalf of anyone else. No matter who's at the gym, everyone's on an individual and independent journey. So right now, your motivation is arguably going to be low, and your confidence is arguably going to be even lower. So it's a case of, well, I didn't have the motivation to go last time, and now I feel like this. So where am I going to go to motivation from now? I always think motivation's a fraud. It runs out really quickly. Discipline is far better, and we can find discipline when we attach value. And the fact is that the gym is the perfect place for an individual to start, regardless of their current level of fitness, because what will be put in front of you is specific to where you're starting from. And sometimes in itself, just the change of environment can be inspirational enough to invoke the change that we want to create within ourselves. But if the question is more about should I even be there if I feel this like weak or compromised in my health and fitness, then I'd say it's because of those things is why you should be there. The reason why fit people go to the gym is because they've been going to the gym and become fit. They are the outcome of continued participation. Who the gym services, who the gym is there to work for and with, are the people who need to make improvements wherever they're starting from. So 100%, regardless of how compromised you feel right now, the place to be is in the environment that can bring about the most substantial, meaningful, and measurable change.
Which links really nicely into the next question. But before I pull that up, do you want to adjust?
Yeah,
before you can't say anything.
It's a lovely problem to have, but it sounds like
put yourself in the dark. Is that better? Yeah, as long as you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay, great. So next question: Do I need support with this, or is this something that I can do on my own?
That's the age-old question, isn't it? And I'm arguably biased, but of course you need support. Everyone needs support. It's an expertise and a skill set that takes constant renewal of a person's time. Your average coach probably dedicates, if they're working 30 hours a week, they're probably dedicating another 8 to 10 hours a week to their own development, understanding, and increasing their skill set. When you want to improve your fitness, why would you want to go through all that learning when you can go and pay for a professional to support you, whether it's being coached on a one-to-one, small groups, or in a class? The difference in outcome is dramatic, because you're going to get there quicker. People like that. You will get there quicker. You're going to get there safer, which is really important. You're probably going to achieve things that you would be incapable of achieving on your own in most instances. Now I know there's going to be that story of that person who's amazing and did something incredible, did all their own training, watched a few documentaries, looked at a bit of stuff online. Next thing you know, they're unicycling off the top of Everest. Amazing. But they are the exceptions to the rule. They are by far the minority. Just like when you go to buy a pair of running shoes, sadly, too many people go to the wrong shop, get poor advice, and then they start to talk about how running makes your knees bad, when actually it's not. Bad running in poor shoes is guaranteed to bring about some pain and discomfort. If everyone was able to get better advice on which shoe to buy and some instruction on how to run, then less and less people would have knee problems, knee pain, discomfort, and will be able to run all the time. So it's the same principle when we go to the gym. The most valuable bit of kit in any gym is the coach. You can go to a gym that's got racks and racks of equipment, and plates and bars and kettlebells and bands and all kinds of wonderful stuff, but you might not have one coach who really knows how to use it. And then you can go to another gym where there's limited facility, but you've got an amazing coach. And with that, he can make you achieve and accomplish all of your goals and rewards. So to me, the single best investment a person can ever make is in themselves, and certainly in their own health and fitness. And the single best investment you can make in your gym is the investment you make in your PT or your coach.
And also, a couple of things that you just touched on there. COVID-19 is a novel virus, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's new to everyone, and everyone in our profession, in our sector, and in the healthcare sector and medical profession are uncovering the science and all the implications of it. And for an individual that doesn't have a background in any one of those professions to try and understand that, digest it, and figure out how to apply it to themselves, there'd be no expectation that anyone's going to be able to do that safely or effectively, and that would be hard work. And also, as we've experienced quite a bit of with the people that we've spoken to that have endured COVID-19, who went about it a certain way, maybe did go too hard too soon, etc., ended up going 2 steps forward and 10 steps back. So to your point, as in efficiency, effectiveness, safety, knowledge, it all adds up.
It does. And when you engage with a PT or a coach, you've got someone who is investing in you. So you're front and center of their attention. So your progression, the variance they're going to bring, they're planning your programming, they're taking care of things of intensity, frequency, duration, time, type. They're the ones who are looking ahead and being creative about what they can put in place for you next in order to keep stimulating the system and invoking those positive changes. They're your go-to person in a world of misinformation for you to fact check and myth bust and get guidance from and get clarity from. I always find it really fascinating that people, when it comes to exercise, will have an assumption that they can kind of do it independently, or they'll go, well, I'll have a look on Google and I'll learn a few bits. But imagine if we took that. The human is one of the most complex organisms that we are aware of. Just what happens in our stomach alone is every bit as diverse and complicated as a tropical jungle. Never mind when we start to get to things like heart rate response and physiological adaptation and tissue repair and all of these things. But imagine if we took that approach to everything in life. We went, right then, I'm going to learn how to become a mechanic because I've bought a car. I'm going to learn how to become a chef because I need to feed myself. I'm going to learn how to build houses because I want somewhere to live. And it goes on and on and on. And I would never do those things. If something goes wrong with the heating or the plumbing in my house, I pay a plumber because that's what they do. That girl or guy, they're skilled in that. They spend their time developing their professional competency so that someone like me can go, right, there you go, how much that cost, that's fixed, it's done properly, that's what you do, brilliant. I know what pipes are, I know what they look like, I know what they attach to, but I wouldn't ever dream that I've got the same kind of level of skills to go, I can go it alone, everyone back off, I've got this. One thing that would happen in that instance is the boiler would go launching out the roof.
I think as well, that's kind of where, especially now, it's much more common for personal trainers to have a multitude of ways in which they can work with a person, whether that's one-to-one, whether that's small group, whether that's pro bono-esque community sessions that take place. Like, there is different scenarios in all scenarios, but in particular relative to COVID, where everybody could and should be helped.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the problem is with regards to the fitness industry is it got marketed as a luxury, when in fact, alongside drinking water every day and eating every day, movement and exercise is in that group of essential components. But what happened is this fitness part, this wellness part, got marketed as a hobby or as a luxury or as something that, you know, and it's simply not true. It's every much a part of our modern world and living as your GP, as your consultant, as those kind of specialists. It's exactly that. And you know, we should all, you know, Mel, I know that you do this, but you know, it always surprises me that people are surprised when I tell them this. But despite my many years now, quarter of a century of working in this, every single qualification, certification across the range, I still pay a coach. I still have someone who coaches me. I still want to learn. I still want to be directed. I still want to be pushed. I still want and need and benefit from that objective eye and that person looking over going, well, what about this and what about that? And you should do that. And it's vital. I'm digressing a little bit, but I had a Zoom chat with there's two people who coach me across two different sections really. I had a Zoom chat with one of those yesterday, going over some rehabilitative stuff and some stuff with regards to how we're going to get my road bike to fit me better. And you know, we've got a good relationship. You know, I've been working with this individual for a long time, and when we're in that circumstance, it's very much I listen and they speak. They're the ones who are going to tell me what we're doing, how we're going to do it, and why we're going to do it. Great, I'm on board. And the reason you're in my life is because I'm paying for your skill set. You know, it amazes me that anyone gets to a point where they go, I know everything. I'm going to do this on my own. I've pretty much studied everything, and I won't do it on my own.
I listen when you coach me.
Good. Just well.
I'm enjoying it when you move and there's like sunbeams coming at you.
Me too. Right. I think look at that. It's been a long time coming, this, Mel.
Right, ready. How do I stay motivated to exercise for what may be a long road to recovery? So I guess this is very akin to, and I know you have a view on motivation, which we'll probably talk about in a minute. But this is arguably very akin to motivation for anybody with exercise, particularly people that are new to exercise. But I guess because this is an extraordinary slow road for most people, how can they say extra motivated?
Yeah, I mean, motivation, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's a fraud. If we only wait till we're motivated and we're going, yeah, I want to do it, then we won't get much done. But I understand it. And I understand it from the point that, you know, it's hard, isn't it? When we don't feel great and we feel tired or we feel uncomfortable, sore, we've not slept well, you know, for whatever it is, you know, it's really hard, isn't it, to kind of go, yeah, but I'm going to go and make myself more uncomfortable. I'm going to do this and it's tough and I'm not particularly great at it, but, you know, I'm hoping to get better at it and I'm hoping I'm going to get rewards in 2 months, 3 months. I understand that. It is difficult. All I can say in those instances is that the outcomes are guaranteed. All you have to do is show up. The outcome is guaranteed. Just show up. And no matter how bad you feel, show up so that you can have that conversation with the PT, the coach, when you get there. Because 99% of the time, by getting there and saying, well, the rule is I come here to tell you, you'll do the session. Because if they're the rules, it's just being there. Actually, it's the start. I say to the runners who I program and look after, throw away the first mile. The first mile doesn't matter. The first kilometer, That's always going to be rubbish, especially this time of year and you're heading out your front door and it's tipping down or it's windy and it's cold. Throw away the first mile. Just go out and get started, and don't put any expectation or pressure on yourself. So when you don't want to go to the gym and you don't want to exercise, just go to the place to have that conversation with yourself and with the coach there. And just by showing up, you'll do something. And by doing something, you're going to be better off. What I can promise you, and this happens much quicker than people think, you will get past the point of needing motivation. You will get past the point, because what you'll start to recognize is the value of what happens and the experience just by sticking at it and by making it consistent and a regular part of who and what you are. Then the motivation doesn't matter. Even just speaking from personal circumstances, there are times when I open the front door and the wind is howling and it's tipping down and it's icy, and I have this like long-standing joke, and I'll say to my wife Tracy, I say, it's a rubbish hobby this, and then I run, and then I just start running, and the minute you're out you get soaked, so you get past that in a few seconds and you get used to the wind tussling you about, and then you start to get, well, certainly I start to get a real sense of righteousness, because I'm like, look at this, there's no one else out, there's just me, and I'm doing it, and I feel awesome about myself just for the fact that I'm being a weather warrior and I'm out there doing it. So, and the reason why I go out, the reason why, even despite all those things, is because I know the value of it. I know the value of it. I know the difference it makes to your health, your wellness, and then your options and opportunities. It's important, isn't it, that we get to live the best life we can live, that we can go where we want to go and be with the people we want to be. I know currently that's almost ironic, but we'll get past this. And I think, it's easy to lose sight of that when there's compromise after compromise and when things aren't great. It's easy when you're on the ropes to want to just shield up and stop any more punches coming your way. But the fact is, if we want to get the winning done, we've got to change that position, and we've got to step forward off the ropes, haven't we? And we've got to encounter a few steps that might be a bit scary and uncomfortable. But actually, once we're back in the swing of it and we're starting to make ground, we start to feel differently about those challenges. And we start to realize that actually with a bit more oomph, we could probably get a win. So motivation comes for a lot of people at New Year. Yeah, this is going to be it. I'm going to be amazing. And we know statistically that, 80% of them have quit by the middle of February, and then the rest of them are pretty much gone by March. So motivation doesn't really go a long way in my book, but value, discipline, terms. When you've got terms with someone, like, no, we show up. We just show up. And if you're going to show up and say, I can't exercise today, that's the conversation we'll have. But we don't have that conversation via message. That's lame. We don't have it on the phone. We show up to have that conversation one-to-one. And I promise you, just showing up will mean you'll get more of it done. And before long, you won't care about motivation. You won't need it.
That's very enjoyable. I think it's human. This isn't a question, but just because you were talking about this a little then, I think it's human nature, of course, for people to compare themselves to others.
Yep.
And if you're going to do that, obviously it's a case of just reality checking who you're comparing yourself to. I think what could be, whilst we're avoiding the term motivation to a degree, what could help with motivation in some ways is if there's a PT or a coach that's working with a number of people who are recovering from COVID-19, there's at least a group of people there who can communicate with each other to understand kind of what each other's going through. I think especially because they might be at different points, they might have had different levels of severity of COVID or be at different points in their recovery. Like Kate, for example, who obviously features in our videos, until she had that conversation with us, or even still when we speak with her now, until she hears about it from a coach or from someone else who's had COVID, that they also still struggle so badly with fatigue, she didn't know if it was COVID or not, whether she was doing something wrong and so on. And then similar with Jan, one of the standout comments she made was that I'm clearly not the only one. Yeah. But it was only really on speaking with her, that she understood she's not the only one who's experiencing stroke-like symptoms and so on. So I think there's a certain level of community and camaraderie in that way that could be nurtured a little bit by the coach, so that people could kind of understand, like people would do in all kinds of similar scenarios, kind of where they're at and moan about it when they want to, which is also going to be natural.
That's where any kind of community spirit and attitude comes from, doesn't it? Because you see people who are the same or similar terms as yourself, and you see how they're overcoming it. And you know, there's nothing wrong with a bit of competition. I'm all for competition. One of the saddest things we've done to society is eliminate competition. We're naturally competitive. That's how we survived for 6.5 million years, how we came out the gloop. So to me, you know, I think those community things are good. And also what we get back from it often is that we get to share those tales, and we get to hear people who are dealing with similar things as us and how they're dealing with it. And that normalizes things, and that makes people relieved.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Because they go, great, it's not just me. That's a normal way to feel. That's a common way to feel. And something that I've heard a lot is that, you know, when you say to someone, you know, it was a tough run, I really didn't fancy that, and they'll go, all right, so you feel like that as well. And that's encouraging, because when they see, because you know, we all perceive people, don't we? We all perceive people we think are doing it better than us. And when we hear them go, yeah, that was hard, that was tough, really didn't fancy, it's like, that's all right then. Because I think people think they're going to arrive at this magic land where they go, I want to do it all the time, and everything's amazing, and everything's become easy. And I'm, you know, tantric, and I meditate, and I've got my chakras balanced, and everything moves amazingly. That only exists in books and films. That ain't true. And I can qualify that from having worked with some of the best athletes in the world. That ain't true anywhere in reality. So it's great to hear from other people who are going through similar challenges ourselves, and realize just how normal all those fears, concerns, reluctancies are. Also, it fosters an accountability. And one of the best things I like about a community, and the reason why I'm a huge fan of what a gym offers under its roof, is that, you know, and it goes back to that showing up, Mel. If there's someone who's saying, we said we're doing that class at 6 o'clock, and neither of them want to go, but both of them know the other one's expecting them to be there, then two people show up and do the class at 6. When it's Friday night and it's dark outside and cold, and you've just finished a tough week at work, and the easy thing to do would be get fish and chips and then watch TV, but you know that that other person is waiting for you, and unbeknownst to you, they're having all the same thoughts, but they think you're waiting for them. Two people have been more successful. So that buddy up approach works an absolute treat. And sometimes it's just nice, isn't it, to look across a gym floor or room and look at someone in the eye who's going through it the same way as you are, and you can laugh about it, and you can, you know, you can enjoy it in a different way.
I enjoy the fighting talk notion as well, about those who are recovering from COVID. Like I think it's a positive, proactive approach to dealing with it.
It is a fight, Mel. Overcoming any illness is a fight. Life's a fight. You know, it's hard, isn't it? Life is hard. That's a given. And it doesn't matter how much money you've got. It doesn't matter how big your house or your car is. Life is hard, and it is a fight. And the art of life is being able to take every single battle as it comes. And some you lose, and it's about picking yourself back up and being prepared to take the next battle on, isn't it? And constantly that endeavor to just push forward, fail forward. That's one of my favorite terms at the minute. I don't mind failing as long as I fail forward. It gains me another half a foot, another 2 feet. I'll just keep trying and going through. So when we take that attitude, because this has invaded our body, it's brought about damage. It's hindered how we think and feel. It's made us vulnerable. So it is about a fight. It is about pushing back, and it is about stepping up to it, and a fight and a grit mentality, because that will take you a long way. That will take you a long way. It'll put these issues in a box, and it'll give you a proactive role in doing something about it. One of my oldest favorite phrases is, I'm happy to be a casualty, but I'll never be a victim. And that mentality is what gets people through. And I can qualify that from people who've dealt with, you know, terminal cancer diagnoses, cardiovascular, everything from transplants to major operations, repairs, the whole hit. A fighting mentality will take you so much further than the notion of a gentle kind of, oh, well, I'll see what I can do.
It just makes you think of Dave, really, and his journey, similar.
It does. Dave Bolton, you know, because he is a fighter. You know, he was world champion kickboxer. You know, he served in the forces. He is a fighter. So when his terminal diagnosis came along, his default was to fight it. And he turned it, and you've heard him talk, you know, he turned every single part of it into how he would prepare for a fight. He started to treat his chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and surgeries in the same way, and how he would prepare himself. But Mel, in my years, what I've learned is everyone's a fighter. Everyone's a fighter. Doesn't matter whether you're getting in the ring and for kickboxing or boxing or Muay Thai or MMA. We're all fighters. That defines us as a species. And I've seen people who you would think would be the most passive, maybe even cowardly, but under circumstances when it's something about their child, their loved one, you see the switch and you see the tiger get unleashed outside the cage. We're all fighters. And sometimes we don't realize we're fighters until our fight comes up, until our opposition presents itself. And then you realize there is nowhere back. There's no one to take this on but me. And in the context of overcoming this virus, you know, the outcome, the ultimate outcome, the measure of success of it and what a person gets back is literally going to be down to how much of it they fight for. If you want a little, you can get a little. You can be passive and get by and then start to take medications to suppress more symptoms, and you know, but if you want a lot, if you want your life back, if you want a better life, then fight for it.
Mic drop. You said something then that made me think. There are people who have endured COVID who have gone, no, maybe not in a hyper severe way, but then have gone, I still feel a bit rubbish, but I'm just going to ride it out. But they're not, they may be exercising less or definitely less intense. They may be just taking a rest approach. In some cases, they are doing bits of exercise. They realise that's sort of like a messy, I've described that quite messy as a scenario. But does that mean in that instance, kind of almost all you're doing is resting rather than rebuilding? Or you're kind of messing with it a bit and then coming away from it? Can that, I assume that would prolong your recovery period?
It will,
you know
you
what I mean? Like, is one of those instances where doing nothing is probably not the best move?
Yeah, first of all, doing nothing is 100% not the best move. Everyone should do something. You need to rebuild for no other reason than you need to give your immune system a fighting chance. You've got to move. You've got to start to upregulate the system and get the gears turning over again. And if you want tissue to restore, well, we know that not only happens better, but may not happen at all if you don't upregulate the system. You can just, I hate shock tactics and I hate fear tactics, so I'm very reluctant to say these kind of things. But the fact is, if you're passive about it, this can be the start of your deterioration. This can't be it, and then things aren't great. If you're really passive about this can be where your real deterioration starts. Things can get much worse from here. Your body needs restoration, recovery, rehabilitation, if nothing else. If you don't want to go to new levels of fitness, whatever, but it needs those components. So if you're passive about this, if you hope this is going to sail on by, this could be the match that lights the paper that starts your journey towards chronic disease.
Wow.
And chronic illness. So let's make no bones about it. The body's took a shot, and I hate scare tactics and sensationalizing things. But on the other hand, a bit like the rest of fitness. If you do a bit of something, you'll get a bit of something back. So you'll get a bit of benefit, but you won't get anywhere near the type of benefit you could be capable of and probably entitled to by training smart and having some structure and having some planning and having some longevity. And the fact is, Mel, regardless of COVID-19, everyone should exercise. Everyone should exercise. It's that's a fact of life. Everyone should think about what they eat and everyone should exercise. We are a migratory species. We were made to move. We should all physically engage in the world on a daily basis. That's what we should do. And when we do that and we see health and wellness optimized. We see no end of benefits for people who behave and structure their lives that way. But in the wake of COVID-19, yeah, if you do a bit of something, you'll get a bit of something back. But if you do it intelligently with structure and planning and you get directed and supported, you're going to get a whole heap more back. Because I would imagine that most sane people, will want to get to the point where it's like it never happened. Surely that's where you want to be. You've had it. It was awful. You've dealt with the long COVID, longer symptoms or short symptoms, but you want to get to the point where it's like it never happened. And that is guaranteeable through structured, supported exercise, some lifestyle behavior stuff. You can get there. There's no guarantee if you just do a bit of something. And it's all about what you're prepared to. It's all about as well, where are you prepared to compromise and what are you prepared to tolerate? And at what point do you go, that's enough for me? And I encourage everyone to have high standards and high expectations and expect a lot and do a lot to get it.
I think one of the things that could come out of all of this that would be phenomenal is if there were some incredible good news stories on the other side of people who like found a fresh revival for, a renewed interest in their health or a renewed interest. Like there is an opportunity to create so many good news stories out of it. So even if you had COVID, there could be a great outcome. Like with all things, with all trials and tribulations that any of us experience, very often, not in all, obviously, but very often, people will say it was one of the best things that happened to them because of what it taught them or where it took them next. And I feel like this is clearly a very poignant time where we could, as a nation, not just as an industry, but there could be thousands, if done right, there could be thousands of those stories.
Yeah, and there will anyway. I don't know the number or the scale, but there will. I can quantify that just from, going back to Dave. Dave his career was flying. He was fit as a fiddle, blah, blah, blah. And then got the worst possible diagnosis you could imagine with cancer. And he's on record as saying it's now he's realized it was the best thing that ever happened to him. With what it made him attached, the values it made him attached to life, his family, his children, how he was living. It was literally what came across and changed everything for the better. And that's when you get the worst possible diagnosis. And I've seen that kind of thing times 1,000 easily. And I 100%, I can't put a number on it, but I know that what COVID will have done will have put health and wellness on the radar for a lot of people. Because if you've had it, you need to be looking around surely now and going, how are some people coping with this better? Why is it having less of an impact on some people?
You'd think, but I don't know how many people are asking themselves that question.
At the minute, we're a society divided, aren't we? So that it's hard for that narrative to come through, but it will. People will reunite and those conversations will start. And of course they will. I've had people since this started, Mel, my inbox, that ping you can keep going off is my inbox telling me it's too full. I've been inundated with people, 90% of which I don't know. They seek me out through whatever it is, asking me all kinds of questions. And that's ever since this goes back to March. People who are saying, what about this and what can I do about that? And then whenever something hits the headline, like the vaccine and T-cell production, when that happened, when the day that was on the front headlines of the fact that the Oxford vaccine was promoting T-cell production, and T-cell production is vital for your immune system. I had over 100 emails before midday of people saying, what are T-cells and how can I get some? You know, people are.
What's the easiest way to get T cells?
Exercise and eat right. and that's what I told them. You know, I let these emails come through and then I grouped them all and sent them all the same response. So yeah, we can do all that through good, meaningful, structured exercise and better food choices. So I do think that tide is coming our way, and I do think that this has raised people's awareness of health and wellness. But more importantly, and I've been working hard on it already, and every coach and PT needs to work hard on it. We need to take this as the opportunity to open up that conversation and to start to say that, and to say to people, look, this isn't, because when it's something like, you know, cancer and cardiovascular disease, it's almost so extreme that people shut down to it a little bit. But COVID can affect anyone, and it's affecting hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people on a global scale. And for the vast majority of them, it's not a death sentence. You know, globally, 97% recovery rate. On average, within the UK, 99 to 99.5 recovery rate. So that's an opportunity for us to go, do you want to know how in all that mess you could have been better off? Manage your weight. Think about what you eat. Exercise regularly. Bolster your immune system. All the things that we do. So do you want to know? Like, I feel really bad, and I'm really sensitive to this because I know people are scared, and we have to be careful as to where we can carry infection too. And I wouldn't want to be all cavalier and go, I don't care, because then I could pass it on to someone else. But in all honesty, concerns around me, just me individually getting it, I've never lost a moment, never lost a second sleep. Don't care. So what? I'll feel like crap for a few days. I can. That's not a problem. Do I think for a minute it's got enough about it to knock me off my perch? Not a chance.
But just qualify that, and I know what you mean, but just qualify that so that it doesn't come across as renegade. Come at me, and what?
No, it's not renegade.
You know what I mean?
It's not renegade at all. In fact, it's
anything. That. You're saying that because of your immune system and your health and your fitness status. You know, if you get it, touch wood, you will be able to come through it quite quickly. Touch wood with very low impact. That's what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not going to touch any wood. I'm not being arrogant, and I'm not being cavalier or mercenary.
I know you're not being arrogant, cavalier.
And I wouldn't at all be the case of come and get me because I've got 3 children. I'm married. I got elderly in-laws. I'm a part of a community of other people. I certainly don't want to pass it on to someone else.
Yeah.
So I'm really sensitive to all that. Really sensitive to all those things. The areas I work in largely involve people with comorbidities. Last thing I want to do is pass anything on like that to them.
But because
the reason why I'm not worried is because 80% of what I eat is really, really good. I exercise every single day. I keep on top of hydration. I genuinely can't remember the last time I was ill. You know, little things like a sniff and that, which is nothing that stops you, because my immune system functions really, really well, because I proactively make decisions about the foods I eat from an epigenetics point of view, from just a general nutrition point of view that I know are contributing positively to what my immune system needs to do. Likewise, with the nature of how I change the stimulus and intensity of my exercise that I engage in and the duration of it. I don't have any negative lifestyle. I don't smoke, certainly don't vape, smoke, all that kind of nonsense. I don't particularly drink. I don't have a sweet tooth, so I'm not eating chocolate and all that kind of stuff every day. So my average sugars are low. So, you know, my systemic inflammation is not something I'm overly concerned about. So the reason why, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure I'd feel awful for a few days. But, you know, I didn't, this time last year, I wasn't worried about getting the seasonal flu. I know it's very different to the seasonal flu, But the point I'm trying to make is I'm confident that where I'm at right now in life with my health and fitness is my immune system would put me in the 99 to 99.5 category, that it won't kill me, that I would overcome it. And everyone should feel like that. Everyone should be going, it would be a pain in the backside to get COVID because I'll lose a week at work and I'll feel rubbish for a week and it'll be really inconvenient. That's how we should all feel. That's how I feel. That's how we should all feel. We should go, oh, it's going to lose a week at work. It's going to be rubbish. You know what I mean? I'm going to be in bed. It's going to be naff. That's how we should be feeling. We shouldn't be thinking, oh my God, I can literally kill people by passing this on. And you certainly shouldn't be there if you're in our age category. You shouldn't be there going, this might be what kills me. Not for most people, because most people who feel like that, there are vulnerable groups who've got really nothing else they could do. It's just unfortunate because of other factors. But the biggest group at risk in our age group are the ones who are overweight, obese, type 2 diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, boom, boom, boom. And most of those, not all of them, most of those come into the manageable and preventable.
Which, not that you knew it was coming up, takes us into our final questions, which kind of tie into that, like, ironically. This is a massive one, and I don't think we ought to answer it in full on this video because this is almost a session in itself.
Okay, come on.
One of the questions asked a lot is, what's the biggest thing that people can do to prevent contracting COVID-19? That's obviously a massive answer, so maybe we just address the top one or two. But one of the other questions is, which arguably you can tie into that, is best advice on supplements.
Okay, so first of all, regards to prevention of COVID-19, what you should be working towards is prevention of worse symptoms, not the virus. Because as we've seen across the board, the virus can affect young people, old people, really, really fit people, people who've got a good immune system, people who've got a terrible functioning immune system, really ill people. It's all about risk. That's what it's really about, is risk of more severe symptoms, and therefore the consequences of those more severe symptoms. The only way to not get it is to kind of have a vaccine. That's the only way to not get it. That's the only real preventable. And even then we could debate that, because to a certain extent, by promoting antibodies, we expose ourselves to a low dose of the virus, blah, blah, blah. What we're working towards is the preventables of the worst possible symptoms. So what can we do about that? Well, we can manage our weight. We can really think about what we eat, because a lot of what we eat is not only that it doesn't do anything good for our immune system, it's that it positively harms our immune system. Systemic inflammation, I know people are bored of hearing this, but it's a fact. And I do wonder that the people on the flip side of this, who make millions and billions of pounds out of selling the products that induce it, are just waiting for people to get bored of hearing about it and almost make out like it's some kind of conspiracy theory. But the fact is systemic inflammation, which is brought about in the diet largely through processed foods, high prevalence of refined sugars in the diet, trans fat. These things put your body in a virus-like state, and your body's working hard all the time to maintain its equilibrium, because it feels like it's in a viral state anyway. And then a real virus comes along, and what happens is those immune systems, the first thing that happens is the virus is pretty canny, gets past the immune system, and then when the immune system figures out it needs to do something, a massive overreaction, adds only to the damage in the first instance, and it's that catalogue of consequences that brings about the harm. So we need to be thinking, well, what can I put in my diet positively that is known, guaranteed through the research literature, to improve my immune function and system? And when we say improve, we mean get it to function the way it should do. Sometimes let's get a bit of exaggerated language around it. So foods that are high in antioxidants, foods that contain fiber. We want vitamin D, D3 through the diet. We want vitamin B12. We want vitamin C, vitamin K. So we want to be eating loads of dark leafy greens. We want to have mixed veg. We want to have really good quality protein. We want to have really good fatty fish. We want to make sure we're eating fruit every single day, but don't go crazy. Most of the fruits are just water and a bit of vitamin C. Have an apple and a pear, and then more importantly, stick blueberries, raspberries in your breakfast, those kind of things that have higher, antioxidant ratio. Go for really good, nutritious food. Reduce your reliance on processed foods. Move, exercise every single day. It's going to prompt T-cell production, so you're literally equipping your immune system to do what it needs to do. These are the things that that lead us towards the preventables of the worst possible symptoms and conditions with regards to COVID-19. To put yourself in a position whereby you go, well, there's a certain inevitability to me getting it, but what I want it to be is the least inconvenience possible. And I certainly don't want it to be something that is life-threatening or puts my life at risk. That's where we want to be with it, so that we can suck it up and move on through it. That ties into supplementation. The one supplement I've told everyone to take on board, particularly if you live here in the UK, North America, parts of other world, to get more exposure to sun, have less of an issue with it, but more and more we're actually seeing the dietary implications are stronger than even our exposure to the sun. Vitamin D3. Okay, so you want a good quality vitamin D3 supplement. The other thing I would encourage people towards considering is looking at their diet and asking themselves, are you getting sufficient polyunsaturated fatty acids, particularly omega-3? Because we have a huge issue where we can get loads of omega-6, which is not a bad guy. Omega-6 plays a really positive role as well, but we get insufficient amounts of omega-3. So look at your diet. And if you can't, then look for an intelligent supplement with regards to your omega-3. Just bear in mind that most of the fish oil industry isn't that effective. You need something more than that. So do your due diligence. Might cost you a little bit more, but find a better one if you need to supplement. Or if you can get salmon, krill, sardines, tuna into your diet, and then start to look at the non-marine based things like walnuts. If we can start to make these a common feature, then you probably don't need to supplement anyway. But definitely vitamin D3.
Okay. I don't think I've eaten as many walnuts in my whole life as I have since I've met you. Right. Last question, which I think we leave and we do in a follow-up session because it's massive, which would be from a coach or trainer perspective, how best to adapt to the latest restriction scenario. So we'll do that as our next FAQ session.
Cool. Right, I'm going to split then. Thanks, Mel. We just did an hour and 20 on that. Plus.
Great 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. 10 minutes.